Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, Randi Thompson joins us. She's the Nevada State Director for the National Federation of Independent Business for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Hello, is this D&D Roofing?
Yes, it is. How may I help you?
You did such a great job on my roof. May I speak to the owner?
I am an owner.
Oh, can I speak to your supervisor?
Sure.
How may I help you?
I love your work. May I speak to the owner?
I am an owner. We're all owners. Well, that's why at D&D we work so hard to keep your home safe and sound.
Oh, no wonder.
D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal. Local, employee-owned, here for you.
Like a traditional handmade basket, retail is woven into the fabric of life in Nevada. From big box to mom and pop, retail supports our communities in countless ways. Jobs for the disabled, team uniforms for kids, help for the elderly, and so much more. Retail employs over 1 in 10 workers. Retail supports Nevada, and we support retail.
RANNV.org.
Pro Group Management offers workers' comp services to a growing number of industries. As businesses grow and change with the times, the need for a solid workers' comp program must be flexible and up to date. The evolving nature of regulations can make staying ahead of complex tasks challenging. But Pro Group Management simplifies the work so your industry can move forward and succeed. Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Truck drivers are some of the hardest working people you'll meet, delivering over 70% of America's freight and 92% of Nevada's. When there's a natural disaster, they're delivering critical supplies to help those communities recover and rebuild. Every sector of the economy and our nation's military rely on truck drivers. So let's take a moment to say thank you. On the open road or city streets, our truck drivers are rolling to make our economy and our nation stronger. Trucking moves America forward.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're always pleased to welcome back to the program Randi Thompson. She is the Nevada State Director for the National Federation of Independent Business. Tell me some good news.
Some good news, finally. So actually, I pulled up a release that we just put out last week, the Small Business Index. So NFIB has a research division, and every quarter and every month, they do a variety of surveys of small business, and on average, it's a good smattering across the country. And it said the Small Business Index increased 3.5 points in May to 94.4, which is a strong improvement over April's 90.9. What they do is they survey 10 different indexes. Are you hiring? Do you think things will get better? And 8 of the 10 index components in May increased. So that's good. People are feeling, and mostly they were feeling that sales are going to increase and I'm going to be able to hire. Those are the 2 big ones.
One of the things that has struck me over this whole situation over the last few months is that salesmanship has been lost to a large extent in this country. That, because the economy was booming for so long, the greatest expansion, we'd ever seen, that people were just selling products because people had money, people wanted to buy, and therefore they bought. But in a recession or any kind of cutback, you need to sell. You need to actually sit down with somebody and convince them of the reason why they should buy your product versus somebody else's, or your product versus not buying anything, when the confidence level is down and people want to hang on to their money. Mm-hmm. And it just seems to me that, if you happen to be a good salesperson, you're worth $1 million right now.
Well, I'd say if you're a good customer service person too. I mean, now that
Absolutely.
stores are back open, if I don't see a friendly clerk and a friendly face and a smile and a welcome, I'm gonna go someplace else, because there's just, right now, I want to feel comfortable in the store I'm going to, and I want to feel appreciated as a customer.
You know,
So-
there's an old line about you can buy whiskey anywhere, but why do you buy whiskey in a certain place? And it's because you like the bartender or you like the waitress or the waiter.
Yeah.
And that's where you end up going. And so, you know, I think that that becomes even more important at a time like this.
Yeah.
Because I don't think for any reason that, you know, people keep talking about retail going away. I just don't see it because millennials, for example, have a desire to go to malls because of the social activity. And so we aren't going to become a society that forever stays indoors.
Yeah. I think you're going to see the small downsizing of retail, probably, not those big box stores that we see. And yet, those big box stores have a purpose. They're essential when the rest of us aren't. So it's, I mean, it just, I can see retail is changing and adapting. But I think there is still that social interaction that you can't get online.
Well,
Makes
look
sense.
at Amazon for an example. So Amazon put bookstores out of business. Now Amazon owns bookstores. Amazon bought Whole Foods, and now they're in Whole Foods selling their other products. So I think that there's a circle here. I think in society, nothing ever goes away. It may not be as big a slice of the pie, but it continues to expand the pie.
Yeah, well, you know that you can only have, if you have a single strain of a line, you're going to go down. You've got to multiply your strains and just have a lot of different things going on. So diversify your income.
Exactly, and well, and in my business, that's exactly what it's been. My business is not a huge thing. My business is multiple small things that together come to a reasonable income. But it's not a huge thing. It's not Amazon.com, for example. One of the things that you know, we've seen over the last few months is the media has done a fabulous job of, rightly so, scaring the heck out of people to get them to conform to what was needed for coronavirus prevention. But now we need to boost confidence that it's okay for people to go out and to understand that the majority of the population is going to be affected by coronavirus at one point or another, and most people are not going to die from it.
Right.
Would you agree with that to start with?
I would like to stop seeing a COVID update every day. I don't know how necessary that is. I mean, if you're going to do that, why don't you put out there how many people died of the flu this week, or people died in a car crash. I mean, if you continue to put out results of a virus that's killing people, you're just going to continue to scare people. But same thing, if you put out how many people died in a car crash, people probably wouldn't want to get in their cars. So while they don't want to scare you, they're doing it by just every day saying, oh, we have 4 more cases, we have 10 more cases, we have 1 more death. We have death every day in our country. 2.8 million people die every year in this country. So it's not unusual to have people dying. What's unusual is this continual reporting of it.
And and you're right, matching the numbers up, because we have 340 million people in the country. So if over 1 million people or 2 million people a day die, and also the way that numbers are reported, that somebody died from COVID and they were 93 and had all people hear is the COVID. They don't hear that the person was 93. At 93, no offense, you know, you can sneeze hard, fall over, and die. Yeah. That is sadly part of life. Yeah. So I think that we need confidence building to get people to feel more comfortable. I was saying on an earlier program that at this point in time, wherever you go is going to be the cleanest facility you've ever been in your life.
It is now. That's very true.
You know, you worked on the board of the Reno airport, and can you imagine the consternation if one person got COVID because they were at the Reno airport?
Yeah. Yeah. We had a little scare in our business. One of our employees went and got a COVID test, and we were like, and we only have 4 employees. It's like, oh my gosh, if one of our employees gets sick and word gets out that somebody, like when Dutch Brothers had one person, you know, test positive, it'll kill you. It could kill your business. People was like, I'm not going to go there. You know, well, it's just like, do you report that person had the flu, or you know, it's just to me, it's been a little overkill. I know we need to do the contact tracing, but they're not really letting people know where the sources are. I'd like to know that, hey, there's been an outbreak at such and such. Okay, let's avoid that for a while. But they're not even doing that. They're just saying, what, 1,800 people now have it in Washoe County out of 450,000 people. It's still such a small percentage.
Okay, and so let me get very personal with you, because people may not know that you have quite elderly parents.
I do. My 92-year mom had hip surgery last week, and my dad's 90.
and so it's not that you don't have concern for them, obviously.
Oh, yeah. My sister won't let me come over right now. She's like, if you go out to dinner, you have to wait. Okay, but yeah, when we go to my folks' house, I don't hug them. I put masks on, so we're very cautious, and we do all the shopping for my parents. We bring them food. Yeah, we make sure that we're very cautious of it.
Okay, and the reason I wanted to bring that up was that you're not being flippant when you're talking about, you know, the news coverage or whatever, that you are dealing with this situation within, and thankfully that they don't have COVID, but you're dealing with that situation.
My 65-year-old husband had open heart surgery 2 years ago. He is very vulnerable. So I've been practicing. I'm being flippant, and only in the sense of, come on, let's get some facts behind this, and let's get some statistics. But I kept talking to Tony Slonim and Helen Lindholm, you know, the CEOs of the local hospitals, and they said, we know what we know, and we don't know what we don't know. And so many of these guys are just doing the best they can. And I'm not going to, I can't even criticize the mayor or the governor or anybody anymore, because I'm realizing, because I first criticized them very heavily at the beginning, but now I'm realizing they're just winging it. This is so unprecedented. And if we could get the facts behind it and get out the emotion, that would really help us all, I think, come together and heal, and as well as get back to work.
Well, and the problem, as you say, is that we don't know the facts.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to know the facts in 5 years or maybe 10 years. And the idea that a vaccine is going to be the savior is absurd, because, you know, A, it's going to take a couple of years at least to get to that point. But B, like the flu shot, this year they completely missed the flu shot. So if you got a flu shot, you were not protected from anything because they didn't have the right mix.
Right.
So, c'est la vie. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. More about business after this.
Can't do it. Stupid, like my mom.
We can't do anything at Mommy's because you won't pay child support.
Dad said you cheated, and he's not even sure he's my dad.
Mommy said you left both of us, so she isn't gonna let me see you. I look just like my father.
I'm divorce attorney Marilyn York, and I may represent men, but hate has no gender, only casualties. Please, stop sacrificing your children in your war against your ex.
Because of UMC, I'm putting my free time to good use.
Because of UMC, she keeps me on my toes.
Because of UMC and this guy, I'm here.
UMC, the highest level of care in Nevada.
Hi, I'm Eric Robnett, owner of Home Energy Experts. Has this ever happened to you?
Honey, did you remember to turn down the thermostat?
Forgetting to set the temperature? Not fun. We can help. Our new smart thermostat keeps the temperature set for your comfort all by itself.
I'm feeling hot now.
To increase your comfort, go to homeenergyexperts.com for details. That's homeenergyexperts.com.
The signs and symptoms of cataracts can start out small with subtle changes in your vision. So don't wait. Be proactive and take your vision into your own hands. If you're experiencing the onset of cataracts or just have questions, contact your eye care professional or call Eye Care Associates of Nevada today. Dr. Hiss has years of experience specializing in the surgical correction of eye disorders and has completed over 84,000 vision correcting procedures. At Eye Care Associates of Nevada, we'll change the way you look at the world.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Randi Thompson. She's the Nevada State Director of the National Federation of Independent Business. But I want to talk to you about personal development. You were attempting to work on the Lear Theater, which is a beautiful theater in downtown Reno, and refurbish it and reopen it, which was the dream of Moira Lear.
And Bob Cashell.
And what's been happening?
Well, I was on a team picked in 2018, I think it was, to renovate this historic church built by Paul Revere Williams, who is the first African-American architect that was put into the American Institute of Architecture. He was called the architect to the stars. He built Lucille Ball's house. And so he did some stuff up here, and the Lear church, really the church there is what his was, his architecture is. So a group of us, Sierra School of Performing Arts, won the opportunity to work with Art Town to renovate the theater. And our vision was not just this theater, but a special event center that you could have weddings in, you could have corporate events, you could have movie nights, but everything else on the stage, from live theater to poetry readings to ballets. And that really is Moya Lear's vision, is everything from a children's theater to a ballet. And really kind of renovate that part of downtown, really be kind of, we called it the heart of performing arts in Reno.
And it's right on the river.
Right on the river. Right on Riverside that comes around on First Street, and just a great location. And the Art Town is purchased, they got the building transferred to them in 2011, and they've done nothing with it. And it's very frustrating to see the building kind of go into decay. And so a group of us, Sierra School of Performing Arts it's a small theater company, and we knew to bid on this project, we didn't have the bandwidth, we didn't have the skill set, so we put together a development team that included Par Tolles, who's a developer, Ed Friedrichs, who's an architect, Mercedes De La Garza, who's the historical architect for the building, my husband Steve on the finance side, Bob Cashel was the first team member, and Pat Hickey, because we were looking at maybe a charter school. So we put together this team and won the opportunity and spent over a year negotiating with Lear, with the Art Town folks. And our very last meeting, we all walked out, and I remember Par going, "We got this, we are done, we are signing the paper." And we sent them over our final revised purchase and sale agreement, and 2 days later they sent a letter saying, "We're never going to come to agreement, and we're cutting off negotiations."
So what happened?
No explanation. Well, I don't know, except that a few months later, we're hearing that a developer's been talking to Art Town about coming in and doing something. So I'm not sure if there was something in the works behind the scenes, which means they were negotiating in bad faith, which means they owe us $12,000 for the funding that we put in to, we were putting together the new market tax credit funding. We had 60% of the project essentially committed in new market tax credits. We had hired consultants, blah, blah, blah. But I'm not trying to make this about us and being losers. I'm trying to make it that we had a plan to restore the Lear into a fully functioning, operating theater. This new plan is to put apartment buildings on the property, which, by the way, still is historical property, and to use the revenues from those apartments to pay for the renovation. So first he gets to build the apartments, and then he's going to renovate the theater. Well, I have a real question of where's the guarantee? You're giving this man land on the river to build apartments, and then he's going to renovate the Lear. And I can see in 3 years that it's like, the Lear is such a mess, we got to tear it down. And I just don't want the Lear to become the next Mapes. So a group of us is still out there saying we have a plan, and we're going to make sure, we're frankly going to start putting together our coalition of folks and go out and show that there's an alternative to what Art Town is proposing.
And do you want to name the developer?
The developer, it's already out there. It's Ken Crater, local guy, seems nice. We actually met with him in February, and he told us about his plans, and we told him why we don't think they would work. He actually wants to put housing, studio housing downstairs in the basement of the Lear, which is this big 9,000 thing. It's below the river. So I can really see the Army Corps of Engineering going, yeah, let's put housing in a total flood zone. So it just doesn't work. Even then, the east side of the lawn, which is where he wants to build this apartment building, is still part of the historical property. So there's historical covenants. He has to pay back the state over $500,000 if he starts messing with the historical aspects of it. We're trying to protect and preserve what is this incredible church that Williams built and honor Moya Lear. And part of this is where I get a little emotional. The last thing Bob Cashel said to me, I was at the JA dinner in November, and Bob had been on our team for a year, and he said, "Randy, I want that church done before I die." That's the last thing Bob Cashel said to me.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back more with Randy Thompson after this timeout.
Dimitri Prine here for Design Outdoor. Come visit Design Outdoor's store and backyard to see our wide selection of fire pits, barbecues, and pizza ovens, natural stone water features and fountains, and frost-proof pottery. Our store and backyard are located at 11600 South Virginia, just north of DeMonte Ranch Parkway. Visit designoutdoor.com or call us at 851-9499.
can't do it stupid like my mom.
We can't do anything at Mommy's because you won't pay child support.
Dad said you cheated, and he's not even sure he's my dad.
Mommy said you left both of us, so she isn't gonna let me see you. I look just like my father.
I'm divorce attorney Marilyn York, and I may represent men, but hate has no gender, only casualties. Please, stop sacrificing your children in your war against your ex.
Hi, I'm Dave Newman. Remember me? I used to be the house detective, and now I'm a realtor, full-time at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates. A lot of people ask me, how's the market? You know what? It's fantastic. If you're even kicking around the idea of buying or selling, give me a call. Let's talk about it. Call me at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates and just ask for the guy who used to be the house detective, Dave Newman.
Everyone is talking about opioids, but they're not the only drugs that can be harmful if taken in large quantities or not as prescribed. You also need to be aware of side effects from anxiety drugs, muscle relaxants, sleep aids, and stimulants. Mixing prescription drugs with other drugs or alcohol can be dangerous. If you take Ambien with a glass of wine, it may be enough to stop you from breathing. Prescribed drugs can be just as dangerous as illegal drugs. Take medications only as directed.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Randi Thompson. She's the Nevada State Director for the National Federation of Independent Business. So at the beginning of this whole coronavirus thing, you were not happy with state government and the way that they were responding, and I'm talking the executive branch, to your businesses and your members. How do you feel now? What's your confidence level that state government via the executive branch is on the right track?
I think they're on the right track now, thanks to legislators like Jill Tolles, thanks to Bob Lucy and Marilyn Kirkpatrick, people that are in the business sector that were able to finally get to the governor's ear. He was listening to his epidemiologists. He was listening to the healthcare people. And I remember talking to Michael Brown on the phone. He's director of GOED, Governor's Office of Economic Development, because I was calling about the breweries being totally shut down. I'm like, wait a minute, liquor stores can stay open, but breweries can't. They're doing the same thing. And Michael says, Randi, we have a healthcare crisis here. I said, no, Michael, we have an economic crisis here. And I started crying, something I tend to do nowadays because I'm so passionate about protecting small business and I said, you are shutting down a sector that is hundreds of local employees. Shutting down a couple of liquor stores, yeah, I mean, that impacts a few clerks and a supply chain, but these are locally owned and operated. There's 43 breweries around our state. But the governor tends to be a little vindictive, and he just didn't like that the breweries were speaking up and criticizing him, so he shut them down. And I've been told time and again, this guy can be pretty vindictive. And I'm probably gonna not be invited to any more governor's dinners now. But that was something I learned early on. I'm like, okay, we can't approach this governor that way. We need to come around and say, okay, how do we work with you? So being part of we have a business network Friday call, all the business lobbyists, and under the tutelage of the Las Vegas Chamber and Mary Beth Seawald, your friend, she presented to the governor's office and to Michael Brown kind of a comprehensive how we open plan, and it was excellent. And everybody kind of chimed in, the retail guys, the car guys. I'm general business, so I was more just make sure that it's not too much of a burden. But they presented a very comprehensive document to the governor, and Michael Brown said thank you, Terry Reynolds said thank you, and they started reviewing it, and they said, okay, we see how we can open up. So I think it was just so reactionary. You got to close everybody down. Oh, but you can't. You got to have dog food, and you've got to have this, you've got to have that. So it was the randomness that irked me the most. It was that you're not essential, but you are essential. And why was a little liquor store that has maybe 2 or 3 people in it not able to sell liquor, but Walmart could, where there's 400 people coming in? So I think now, and I've gotten several media requests of, are we going to shut down again? I don't think we're going to shut down again. I think we are learning to safely operate. And if you try to shut us down again, you're going to face holy hell. You will. So I have a feeling now that people understand we can safely operate. I know in our small business, everybody wears a mask, we clean after every client, everybody was wearing gloves, we ask our patrons to wear masks, and we're keeping it safe. And I think and businesses are now realizing, okay, we can operate safely.
Well, I think that there's a reality that is dawning on people, is that this was never about stopping the virus. This was about not overwhelming the hospitals.
Correct.
And so, as we tend to do, and you can't blame politicians because they're not doctors, and doctors tend to give you worst case scenarios to make you feel better when it's not as bad as they potentially said it was going to be. But you can't shut down the economy forever, because there could be another pandemic, God forbid, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, and the country does not have $20 trillion to just have in reinforcing the country's economy. So I think that we have to come back to a place that you're describing.
Well, and I think we've got to recognize that you don't isolate healthy people. If you want to quarantine somebody, quarantine the vulnerable and quarantine the sick. And I remember hearing time and again, this is the first time we've ever quarantined healthy people. So let's really focus on who's the vulnerable, focus on, like Florida did, what are the facilities that are most vulnerable, the senior centers, even, any kind of hospital. Nursing homes primarily. And let's focus on really protecting that group. And people like me, whose husband's vulnerable, whose parents are vulnerable, I'm behaving pretty darn well. So we need to be able to say, okay, you can go out and do things, but just be careful.
And that's where we have to leave it. Randi Thompson, always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam.
And we'll be right back. A bird's eye captures its surroundings at different heights. At Brian Culpa Photography, we can make your imagination soar over buildings, parks, cityscapes, and beyond. Brian's images tell the story and get the job done. If you need a new perspective to tell your story, contact Brian today. Brian Culpa Photography. Experience the bird's eye view at brianculpaphotography.com.
Hi, my name's Marilyn Miner, and I'm sure you'd agree that Nevada's a very special place to live. I was born here, and my husband and I have raised our family here. I feel it's a privilege to live and work in the Truckee Meadows. I especially enjoy helping my clients reach their real estate goals. Sometimes the smallest details provide the greatest satisfaction. I'd be complimented to talk to you about your next move.
Call Marilyn Miner at Dixon Realty, 742-1280, or log on to marilynminer.com.
Safety. We all think about it. You think about it when he buckles in, when you check your mirrors and put away your phone. RTC thinks about safety too. In fact, we create it. Center turn lanes mean fewer blind spots. Bike lanes keep cyclists and you safe. Roundabouts reduce injury collisions, and all these crosswalks are designed to keep families like yours safe. Safety is your priority, and it's ours too. Every day, in everything we do.
Pro Group Management specializes in providing industries with the necessary components to satisfy and exceed workers' comp requirements. Every business has unique needs and specific regulations. Pro Group Management stays ahead of the curve, providing up-to-date services to keep your industry in top form. Discover how we simplify your tasks, improve efficiency, and reduce expense to keep you moving in a positive direction. Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
You can now watch Nevada Newsmakers on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and search for Nevada Newsmakers and become a subscriber. We'll see you on the next broadcast. Thanks for watching and listening.